Hello and welcome to the Quantum Bridge with myself, Casper, with my co-host Gary, and our eager guest. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
So rather than me banging on, which as anybody who's tuned in before knows, I certainly can do. Gary, if you'd be kind enough to introduce our guest, and I'll say hello properly.
Yes, thank you, Casper. So just a quick say hi to Pippa, who we've got with us today, first time guest.
Hi everybody. Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome to the
Hi.
show. So like a lot of our guests, I've met Pippa via X. We spoke a bit on there before, and I really enjoyed her posts. So I invited her onto the show to tell us more about what she does. Not really a lot to do with timelines and things, which is very interesting. It's a nice topic. So I think maybe to start with, Pippa, because it's your first time with us, maybe you can let the audience and us know a little bit how this started for you. This sort of, was there a moment, or what started you on your journey here into this topic?
Yeah, that's a great question. Back in 2020, during the the craziness of the COVID era, I hadn't been online at all for several years. I hadn't said anything online hardly ever in my life, really, apart from posting a few articles and whatnot. But I suddenly was compelled to start speaking out. I felt like, I needed to, do my duty and speak out against the lockdowns and, the vaccine mandates and all the rest, so I did my part. I felt I was doing my part. So that's how it started on X. And I just started speaking about that. But it quickly turned to me speaking about the things which were, which were deeper to me. And that was, divine love, spirit, healing, and timelines. And then all of this timeline stuff started coming, pouring through me and coming out of me. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't planning it. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to grow a platform. I wasn't trying to grow a platform. I thought I was just going to be one of the small accounts, 100 followers or whatever, the same as most people out there. But it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. And I wrote a book, and the rest is history. So, that's how it began about 4 years ago.
Like for many of us, I suppose, on this thing, there was that sort of big knock on the head. It's why we ended up starting the channel, like I said, because we felt that a lot of people were going to want to speak out. They're getting that calling,
Yeah.
and it was an opportunity we could do to help facilitate that. I guess do our little bit in this.
Right,
So we can
right.
process.
So we're on a similar journey. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
similar
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
whereabouts are you based? Just, I mean, I think you're in the US time zone, but you sound quite similar to us in many ways.
I do. Yes, I do. Well, we now live in Austin, Texas. I'm a Brit Texan Brit. I was born in Texas. I grew up in Britain, which is how I am both British and American. I'm both. And we've been living in Britain the last 8 years, but we've just now moved back to Austin, Texas. So that's where I am now. Yeah, I'm here in Austin. Yeah.
You escaped. So
yeah, I escaped just in the nick of time too. I mean, it's gone crazy over there. I don't know if you want to talk about all that, but it's just the news is just shocking. Anyway,
it's not as
I've escaped.
well. It does bring us a bit onto our timeline topic, I suppose, of how maybe we're living on different ones from other people and things. I'm not sure how that works, but
yeah.
This is the interesting thing, isn't it?
It's very interesting. There's a lot of questions to be asked, and I always say that we just need to ask questions, not try and answer those questions, because anybody that thinks they have all the answers is deluded, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've given up on that. I'm just like,
yeah,
let's see what happens. Yeah,
absolutely. Isn't whatever conclusion we come to, we're wrong.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental way.
Well, a conclusion has to come in time, and given that we're working out there isn't any,
Well, exactly. If you step outside of time, nothing is true anymore apart from truth.
Yeah.
That's the thing. No, there is nothing. None of it exists. None of it is happening. None of it ever happened. None of it ever will happen. The
Yeah.
only thing that's true is truth. So
And
yeah.
then the deeper question, or another question that does arise out of that, because I totally concur with what you just said, is but who is the person talking about truth?
Exactly. No one.
Yeah, no one. Yeah,
No one. Yeah. I'm no one. You're no
yeah,
one. We're
yeah,
no one.
yeah.
There's only one here.
Oh no, there's a terrible ego operating here, a real tyrannical one in my case. But in terms of a fundamental I, no, of course there isn't, because it's absurd to think that there is an I.
Well, that's right. The ego is a construct of the ego.
Yeah,
Therefore,
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
therefore
yeah.
it doesn't exist. So it disappears in a puff of logic, or whatever it is, the quote from Hitchhiker's
Yeah.
Guide. It disappears in its own logic. It doesn't.
Wonderful you say that, because it is the most sublimely it is the sort of emperor's new clothes type scenario, in that it's absolute, well, are a lot of things at the moment, absolutely apparent in their falsehood or non-reality or whatever, and yet they're seen and spoken into reality anyway. And I suppose that's how the I-ness takes on this form, apparently, that it's we speak it into reality, but in and of itself it doesn't exist. So.
Well, it's a kind of dream, isn't it? I mean, like everything is. So do dreams exist? I don't know. It's like, it depends how you define exist.
Well, the dream exists and doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
That's the paradox. Is the punchline, really? Yeah.
That's the punchline. Exactly so. And I think so many people are waking up to this, basic understanding of what's going on here, that we're all kind of woken up and looking at each other and going, okay, what are we going to do next? We're we're divine beings, we're awake, and we can orchestrate things. We can affect things much more deeply than we ever before imagined. And
other than in our wildest dreams, and of course the dreams, as you're rightly pointing out, we're in one anyway.
Course,
when you dream, this world becomes a dream, and when you awaken, the dreams become a dream. But who's to say? What other third party can tell you the validity of your own dreams or your own life?
Well, and does a third party even exist, or are
well,
they
of
just
course,
a dream? Yeah, I mean, when we dream at night, we dream of another person. Does that person have an independent existence, or are
they
just
appear to, don't they?
Yeah. Where do they go when you stop dreaming?
Yeah, that's right.
Where does everything go when you stop dreaming? And so, these are all really good questions, and they're open-ended questions, which the questions are supposed to be,
Yeah, and also what makes them fun, as you rightly point out, about all of it. If all of it is merely an appearance, it does come back to that sort of Advaita tradition, where it's all okay, or Maya, or whatever you want, seeing through the red dust, whatever you want, expression you want. It's all beautiful, by the way. I don't know, all lovely. I'm not knocking any of it. In fact, that pointing is a rather wonderful thing, but it ultimately it's pointing for whom?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can't but dream, we're always dreaming.
Exactly.
But we can be aware that we're dreaming. So when we lucid the dream, and that's, that gives us more options, more flexibility, more agency, and it's a better place to be lucid in the dream. And of course,
I agree. And there's also, I don't know how you feel about this, Pippa, but there's also the thing of, there is, as part of this awakening, we all do it, and it doesn't matter what end of that thing you're on. I mean, that's a irrelevance, really. But this thing about feeling oppression in all sorts of different ways, whether it's streaks going across the sky that you now believe are going to do things to you, which they may or may not, right? Or the actual oppression of entity, non-governmental, all this other stuff that we can talk, the melting pot of all these things. You can flip it on its head and say, what an incredible dream I'm having. We were stuck in traffic yesterday, for example, and Gary's line on that was, how can I be powerful if we're stuck in traffic? And my line was, look how powerful you are because you're stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
So,
we have to create an antagonist for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like any good story writer
Thank you.
has
Yeah.
to put in an antagonist. You have to put some light and shade. If you're painting a painting, you put light and shade. You know, you don't just paint white, you paint everything. And that's what we're doing. We know because we're the all, we have to experience the all. And you know, so if allness includes everything, you know, so there you go. That's the
I
explanation.
need to write myself a new script, I think.
Yeah.
One where the motorway doesn't close at midnight when I'm trying to get home.
Traffic is the terrible. The traffic here is terrible too. It's just it's not fun being stuck in traffic. I try and avoid it for sure. That's for sure. Yeah.
Is Joe Rogan your next podcast then?
Did you see me write to him on Twitter? Did you notice
No,
that?
no. This is only intuitive.
Oh, really? That's so funny because he lives in my neighborhood. He's Joe. Can you somewhere close?
He might be hearing this.
He might be. Well, I wrote to him. I did a tweet to him and his publicist on Twitter, but they didn't get back to me. Can you believe it? They did not get back to me. I was so surprised. I thought,
on which timeline didn't they get back to you though? We have to be clear because there are timelines on which they have come back. You've already been on. There are timelines where you're about to be on, and this timeline where, of course, you will be on. So.
Exactly. Well, I fully expect to be on the Joe Rogan show pretty soon, you know, and if he'll have me. Hi, Joe. And James Dellingpole, if you're out there, James Dellingpole, I'm going to send you a copy of my book, and I'd like to go on your show too. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that I haven't thought of yet that I would like to go on. But Tucker Carlson, I'll do it all. You know, that's what I was going to say to Gary is I'm in my season of yes. This is my I'm saying yes to things because when Gary first asked me if I come on this, I was like, no way, I'm not.
I understand that very well.
Yes, amen.
I didn't have my picture up on X. I didn't have my photo out there. I was like, I'm not gonna, what do you mean? I'm not gonna do that. But I've been saying yes to things, so I'm up for whatever comes up.
Well, just opening yourself to that. I mean, at the moment, this is a relatively modestly sized podcast, but I believe that what we're doing, not us, but what we're doing and the facilitating of all these incredibly, yourself included, creative people and people who are, I believe many of them here, quote unquote, in this realm at this time to do rather incredible things. That in itself will ultimately propel this to whatever scale it's meant to be, which is, fine.
That's what I've thought all the way through. Is it'll reach who it's meant to reach.
Yeah.
It's not a question of like trying to reach people. It's allowing it to reach people, and it will, and it does, and it has, and it continues. People, we will chance upon the thing that we're supposed to hear at the right moment for us.
Of course.
So I fully expect people to chance upon my material at the right moment for them.
They will, but also even the right, the whole thing of sort of build it and they'll come, write it and they'll see it, all of these things. Of course, just putting that book out into the universe, it doesn't actually matter if nobody ever read it.
Right. Well,
I understand that they will, and it's lovely that they do.
They have, it's actually amazed. I mean, I thought I'd just sell a little bit on Twitter and that would be the end of it. But I thought it would last about a month or two, maybe, and it would be all. I honestly thought that, and I was going to close. I actually tried to close down my X account because I thought, I'm not. This isn't gonna. This isn't. Why am I wasting all my time on this every day? Why am I so compelled to say things online? And I've got to stop this and get on with real. So people are ready to hear this stuff.
That's right.
Now, and the time is now, and there's so much ancient knowledge that we know deep in our bones. Our ancestors knew this stuff, and we know it somewhere deep inside. But now we're ready to actually know it and look at it and talk about it and lucidly bring awareness to it. So a lot of very, very deep ancient knowledge is coming up again.
Yeah, and we're compelled to, aren't we? There's the feeling, not just certainly for someone like Gary. I mean, I would just blathered on about things anyway. I was already speaking about weird stuff and writing weird stuff. But someone like Gary, who, it's every bone in his body is screaming out, no, don't do this. And yet there is enough of this frequency or energetic change happening that even he has been willing to say, okay, look, there's nothing I can do about this. I'm going to have to do it.
Mm.
Yeah, I relate to that, Gary, because that was exactly how I was, like, late into the night tweeting away and thinking, what am I doing? What is this? This, and feeling very, very compelled to start saying things, to just speak, and
Yeah, it started online, like you say, and then gradually we discussed doing this sort of thing. But what else can we do? Because sometimes things in this journey feel a little stagnant, and like, well, I don't know, need some more energy here or something. And there was a lot of negativity at the time and the fear stuff, and we was like, can we add a little bit more of a positive outlook here? With solution based rather than fear. And we all know the bad stuff. Can we get to talk about the good things and the sort of knowledge, and we spent, like Casper said, it took me maybe 6 months or so to think, okay,
yeah,
I'm like, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do it? Because like yourself, I never had my face out there, my name out there. I was all good with that. Right. I didn't want to give any of that up. I thought about.
Yeah, me neither.
You just have to.
You somehow you don't get to decide. It's like spirit or whatever you like to call it, love or life tells you what to do, and you have to listen at a certain point. Like, I didn't plan this, I didn't want this, but it starts to, you get told that you have to do it, and so therefore you do it.
Yeah, it's that little niggle, keeps coming.
I really understand that. You mentioned fear, and I think that has been a lot of it, is how to transmute this hyper fear that so many of us have felt. I mean, I won't lie, I was more afraid during the COVID era of the government than I've ever been afraid of anything, that they were going to try and force this obnoxious poison into my body. Terrified me, I have to say. And but that terror, that fear, was the kind of impetus, one of the impetuses that I needed to shake out of my apathy, to wake up. I was like, I had to. It was a survival. It felt very primal, very primal. This malevolent force coming for my family and I and my loved ones and everything and everyone that I love. It felt like this very primal situation to be in, and that the only option was to wake up to divine love and spirit and to start speaking about it.
Yeah, we've had a few people like that, and I've spoken to a lot of people who had that same moment, that sort of big fear of this thing coming at you. And people talking about, we're going to run into the woods, or we're going to, what are we going to do? And it felt real. That whole thing felt real.
It felt real. It did feel real. Whether it was or not, I can't say. Nothing's real, as we've already discussed. It's all a dream. But yeah, and the timeline stuff was unexpected for me. I'd been interested in timelines and time and the nature of time, all my life, and I'd read a lot of about other writers, but there wasn't this material that I started downloading didn't arrive from out there. It arrived from up there and came out of me, and it took me by surprise. I didn't expect it, I didn't plan it, I didn't orchestrate it. I just allowed it. And that's all this new information about timelines. I mean, the basic principle is that we live in a sea of infinite possibilities. That this is just one rendered pathway that our perception renders into being right now, but we have an infinite potential of perceptually rendered pathways as part of our greater being, and that this is all our being, that we're not actually separate beings, that all of this, the stars, the moon, the sky, other people, the planet, everything that we perceive is us. So we're pretty massive beings.
I think that's quite
interesting. In terms of the book, by the way, I've got a slightly hungry for no reason cat here who's just eaten a huge amount of food but still hungry. In terms of the book, can you show it for a second? Have you got a copy there?
Can you see?
Yeah, a map of secret rivers. Yeah,
it's a map of secret rivers, how to navigate timelines.
Great. Okay, perfect. Yeah. is the book a story of your awakening, or does it focus almost exclusively or primarily on the timeline aspect? How many different timelines?
It's a guidebook. I mean, I hope it does what it says on the tin.
Mm.
It says it's how to navigate timelines.
Yeah,
And so
great.
it's a guidebook for other people to help them to navigate timelines. I do talk about my own story in it
Yeah.
to kind of give some, contrast. And I talk about, I talk about me through it just here and there. But one of the aspects of the book is we talk about a lot of folklore, philosophy, religion, spiritual texts to support this idea of timelines, and science and all the rest of it, to show that actually this is not new knowledge. This is ancient knowledge. Our ancestors knew it, and they often told us in the form of stories. This is the thing. I mean, what is Jack and the Beanstalk? Let's just take an easy example. What is Jack and the Beanstalk? He goes up, 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 up a stalk, and he finds himself in another realm. And there's so many of our stories are this. They're just they're covert ways of telling us about the nature of reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that with a lot of the nursery rhymes. I look at them differently now. Like, you
Yeah,
row your boat and all this down the stream, and
yeah, that's a good
life is
one.
but a dream, and
Yeah,
all these
that's a
little
good
things
one.
now that you look with new eyes, like you say.
Yeah, look at them so much in our culture. If you look at it through a new lens, you understand it. And I honestly believe that there is no new information, but we do have new ways of expressing it and new ways of understanding it. And the idea that there's infinite realms or many realms, or that we don't die, we just wake up in a new realm, that we're infinite beings, that immortal beings that continue, the dream continues, we're dreaming. All of these ideas are there already, in our stories. They're there for us already in our stories.
How was that the first book you've ever written?
No, it wasn't. I had a whole career before as a literary novelist,
Right.
and I have about, let me see, five novels, short story collections out there. I do not share the name of that. I keep
Okay.
that separate.
Yeah, yeah.
But I actually have kind of I've written a ton of, well, the thing I do want to share though is I've written a ton of children's stories, and I'm working on a young adult novel all about timeline, series in fact, all about timeline jumping, and those are going to be published under Pippa Oona platform, under the same platform as a Map of Secret Rivers. And I really do want to get those out to people when they're ready. But my old literary career, it feels like another, well, it's
Yeah.
another timeline.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go. It's another
absolutely.
timeline. It's done. I've kind of put a line under it, and it's continuing in its own little way. But I don't see me writing that kind of material anymore, because I've moved on. I've changed. I'm not really interested in um the dynamics of men and women, romance, and all of this. And it's just I've moved on. I've grown, and it's not where I am anymore. So
Yeah,
yeah. But no,
definitely.
my background is fiction writing.
Mm.
And metaphysics. I have a master's degree in metaphysical ministry. So
Right.
I'm about to get my PhD. I'm writing my thesis for it, so I'll have a PhD in metaphysical counseling. So or is my interest. I never thought that I would be using it in any professional way, to be honest, but now I am. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, all of us want to be doing what we love, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
it feels like a timing where that's at least that has much more for many who've held themselves back maybe from doing what they love, thinking that the energy won't support that. It does feel at
Yeah.
least that yeah.
The energy does seem to be more
Mm.
supportive. And I think every time that we kind of do our, that we live our golden timeline, that we do the thing that we came here to do, we liberate others with that. We give them an example, and they say, oh, they think I could do that too. I could be
Yeah.
doing that too.
Yeah, that's sort of what I meant about the book. The latest book is that just the activity of writing it, the channeling of the material to some degree, however we want to see that, I suppose, all of those things that we do as part of the process, and then putting it out into the world as an energetic tome, not necessarily as something just to be written and received in that way, in that sort of linear and the sort of press way, but actually something that's going out there as a metaphysical work, really, as a piece of alchemy. The alchemical process doesn't necessarily need to involve the readers. I mean, I'm sure in your case it will. Many of my cases, it's not involved many readers at all.
Well, no, I mean, no, I've certainly written plenty of things that no one's ever read, and I hear what you're saying. I've written plenty of things no one's ever read, and that's just part of the process. And like you say, it's someone's reading it, the energy's reading it.
That's what I mean.
It's still worthy because it's an alchemical process. Like you say, you're transmuting your own frequencies, you're learning. I mean, I learn through writing. Other people may learn in other ways, but if I want to know about something, I'll write it. So that's my way. So I absolutely, yes, it's all worth it. It's all valid, even if no one ever reads it, even if no one ever picks it up, even if no one ever gets it. I mean, I didn't know that people wouldn't just think it was Looney Tunes. I mean, I thought, well, this is, I've done it now. I'm really going to be, this is really out there stuff, and people are going to respond, and some have, but that most people. They don't. Most people that respond that way don't tell you they're responding that way, I guess.
Yeah. You find out about that in other ways, and also the good thing that sort of melts away because you only need a few positive pieces of feedback actually, and to feel that you may have helped one or two people. And that's really, for most of us, that's enough. So once you've got that,
and you helped yourself, and that's we do these things for ourselves. I do think we do art and write things, for our own process primarily, and everything else is a bonus if it happens, It's definitely
so in terms of actually getting to see and engage with, well, now it's specifically obviously this book and then your future work and
I've got
your
another
other
book coming out in the sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right.
I've got Greater, Brighter, Richer: How to Navigate to Your Wealth Timeline is coming out early in the new year, I hope, or maybe even this year if I really get it together. I'm one chapter away. I've got to then I've got to organize it all. It's quite a lot. So that's coming out, and I'm also speaking at the Mandela Conference in November the 7th, I believe it is. Look on my Twitter feed, anybody on my X feed. I'd love to see anybody listening to this video, anybody out there comes, please make yourself known to me, because I really love I'd love to meet everybody.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
One of your saying yes, I take it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Saying yes. That was another of my yes things, like people, rather than just somebody's mentioned, oh, it'd be good to have a book club the other day on my Twitter feed. I was like, okay, I've got to say yes. Okay. Yes. So it's just saying yes to things.
Yeah, I haven't quite got there yet, saying yes to everything. So
well, it can't go on indefinitely, because if you say yes to everything, you do a little bit of it. It moves you out of it. If you do a little bit, even in one day of it, it moves you out of resistance. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
I write about it in my next book. It's a very powerful technique to just say yes to all the little nudges. People ask you to do things. People say, oh, you just listen, tune in, and say yes.
Brilliant. Well. We're running out of time as usual. So.
Okay. All right.
But when we ask you to come back, we know what you're going to say.
Well, I'll hopefully my next book will be published then, and I'll be able to go, this is my next book. But I mean, it's been awesome. Really, really nice to meet you both. This is lovely.
Likewise.
Really lovely, and I really want to know more about you guys and your writing too, Casper.
Oh, that's kind. Thank you.
So really, really lovely to meet you both, and thank you for having me here. Thanks
You're
a lot.
welcome. Yeah,
it's a pleasure, and we will put obviously all of that information, that whatever you'd like to share with us, whatever channels in terms of the books and so on. Yeah, we will.
Just direct people to my website is fine, and they can find it all from there.
Oh, great!
Fantastic. Yeah.
And
maybe, like we mentioned before, maybe we'll do a deep dive into something of just the timelines or the calls and things. So once we've done this first show,
we didn't talk that much about timelines, did we? But what's the big
it's
a
a
big
good
subject.
introduction for yourself, and the audience get to hear a bit about you, and then next time we can just
Yeah.
deep
We
dive
can
into the
go
topic.
deeper into whatever you
Yeah,
like,
that's
for
it.
sure, Gary.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice
Thanks
to
a
meet.
lot.
Very nice to meet you. Thank
Take
you for
care.
coming.
Thanks a lot.